This is Trey Alvey with your 28storms.com mid-afternoon update on Sunday, January 9th, 2011.
This is a current look at the radar of the southeast United States right now. As you can see, the bulk of the heaviest precipitation is currently located over southern Louisiana and extending up into southern Mississippi and into Arkansas and over into northeast Texas and southeastern Oklahoma, with a band of precipitation stretching across from northern Mississippi and down into northern and central Alabama. Looking at the current surface observations, we have mostly snow across southern Arkansas, with some mixed precipitation in far southern Arkansas extending into northern Louisiana, and pretty much everything has changed over to snow in northeast Texas right now and southeast Oklahoma. And as we move into northern Mississippi, you can see that most of this precipitation is currently being reported as freezing rain or sleet, and this extends over into northern and central Alabama. Now look at the thickness charts show that most of the thickness lines favorable for snow are located currently across northern Louisiana into southern Arkansas, and that extends over into northern Mississippi and northern Alabama, generally areas north of Interstate 20. Now here's a look at the 12Z sounding for Shreveport, Louisiana, and as you can see here, there's a warm layer inversion around 850 millibars, and this was causing most of the precipitation to fall as sleet and freezing rain across northern Louisiana. As we've progressed into the afternoon, however, you can see on the 18Z sounding that this inversion is pretty much gone, and through evaporational cooling and other processes such as the absorption of latent heat through melting, pretty much warm air advection has been overcome, and most of this precipitation north of I-20, particularly in Louisiana, will now fall mostly as snow. A look at the 18Z sounding out of Jackson reveals that there's still a warm layer in the mid-levels, and this is causing most of the precipitation around I-20 through Mississippi to be falling mostly as freezing rain and sleet at this point. However, this layer will continue to cool throughout the day, especially as heavier precipitation moves into the area and helps speed up the evaporational cooling process, and this will eventually lead to a changeover of mostly snow through the Jackson area for at least a good period of time before things start changing back to sleet and freezing rain later on. And finally, a look at the 18Z Birmingham sounding reveals that this warm layer is much smaller, and because of the large dry punch in the mid-levels, evaporational cooling will allow sleet to quickly change over to snow with any type of moderate or heavy precipitation in the area. Quick look at the local storm reports out of Jackson, so that there's already been sleet accumulations and icing on highways, especially on bridges, so if you need to be out and about at any point right now, please be very careful. And now a look at the latest HRRR model field reveals that this particular forecast model is predicting the highest snowfall totals to stretch from around the Dallas, Texas area, across southern Arkansas into northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, stretching into southern Tennessee, and far northern Georgia into the southern Appalachians. And notice here that it keeps most of the significant snowfall from major cities such as Jackson, Birmingham, and Atlanta. Now, one final look at the radar reveals the heavier precipitation moving into southern Mississippi, and it's quickly approaching the I-20 corridor. Expect some moderate to heavy precipitation in the near future across these areas, likely beginning as sleet and freezing rain. However, the heavy nature of it should allow for a changeover to snow, particularly for those areas north of I-20. Now, our general thinking as far as snowfall totals goes is the highest totals will likely occur from around the Texarkana area, across southern Arkansas, across northern Mississippi, into northern Alabama, southern Tennessee, and far northern Georgia. And these can be generally on the order of 4 to 8 inches, with locally higher amounts up to 10 inches possible. And generally the I-20 corridor can expect totals much closer to around 2 to 4 inches, especially those areas just north of it, and kind of a mix of sleet, freezing rain, and snow altogether. So it's just going to be a complete mess, especially in the I-20 corridor, stretching up from Jackson to Birmingham to Atlanta. Avoid travel if at all possible. Remember to check back to 28storms.com. Throughout this event, we will be continuing to provide updates as things unfold.